Hey guys, Footy Focus Podcast, episode 17. So round 16 review and preview of the final home and away round.
Yeah, hey guys. I think there's one game in soon to end the penultimate round of footy, and
We'll jump on to the Roos match, and it was a disappointing match in Goldie's 250th.
yeah, it was. Yes, as Kangaroos went down to Freo. I think it was in Metricon, in Gold Coast. I think 35-99. So yeah, it's a bit of deja vu. So pretty disappointing again. And normally we tend to win a game like this. Like we normally get up for milestones or even games towards the end of the year. Normally, sort of, even if we've had a disappointing year, we normally win one. And I had a feeling we might cause an upset, but yeah, that was pretty. It was extinguished pretty soon, early on in the piece, which is pretty disappointing because there was a lack of spirit from the guys, I thought. Again, it's the same sort of thing with the game plan and how we move the ball. Yeah, it's sort of give the opposition too much time to get back and defend and structure up, and then it's just the inability to transition play, which is it's causing pretty much causing the opposition to score heavily.
How about the contest? Because that's what Reece Shaw is obviously big on. How do you guys go in the contested ball?
Yeah, so we lost that count. I think, pretty comprehensively. I think so. That's what all the commentary has been about as well. Just couldn't win the call face. So guys like Fife, Mundy, Brayshaw, even Sarong, like a first year player, the better of the Roos, our midfield. Anderson's been pretty good. Same with Simpson, but I don't think as the year goes on, they're just getting tired and there's not much support. Tackles as well. I think we had 11 players with 11 or 12 players with one or less tackles. So one tackle less, which is pretty bad considering we got smashed in the possession count as well. And marks, they almost doubled us. So just played keepings off, and so many uncontested marks. But like tackling is something else Reece Shaw sort of built the game on. Like last year, Zerha had 10 tackles in one game against Richmond, so we haven't been able to recapture that form or game style this year.
What about some of the whipping boys or your whipping boys, Atley and Mason Wood?
Yeah, again, there was no impact. You couldn't tell Atley was playing. He had a couple of touches in the second half, I think, which were noticeable, but otherwise he was essentially invisible. Wood, I think, he's pretty much shot. I think they're just playing him now to, I don't know, maybe get his currency up, but I think, he just doesn't do enough, and he's not confident when he gets it. Zeeble only has 6 touches. Got thrown into the midfield sort of in the second half and sort of butchered the ball a bit there. Hall was okay, but again, it's just I think it's more defensive side with him. So when he has to concentrate defensively, it takes away from his offensive capabilities. So you're not going to get the Hall that was leading the Brownlow ever again if he's sort of focusing on defensive side of his game as well. Even from the back line, the ball was in our back line quite a bit, and just even moving the ball, there was a couple of instances where we were in the back pocket and the player just waited, did nothing, and then hand passed it to a player 10 meters away, and then he had to hand pass it to another player, and then we were at the sort of intersection of the arc and the boundary line, and then the pressure just made the ball go out of bounds. So just I don't know what's happening. Just maybe it's the coaches how we had to get rid of a couple of line coaches.
Yeah, I think you're not the only team. I mean, I saw GWS letting go of Lenny Hayes, who's a big part of their midfield. So it's not just you guys, but it's probably definitely had an impact. And I think the hub as well, because obviously teams are out of the finals race. They're not seeing their family every day. I think there's a few families in the quarantine hub. So whether that's had an impact or not, it definitely hasn't been a benefit anyway.
Yeah, okay. We might get on to a bit about coaching and on-field leadership and coaching a little bit, but just a couple of positives with I thought Higgins tried hard, and Luke McDonald's having his best season easily, so he might win our best and fairest team. And like I said, Anderson's doing what they can, but they're just not big bodies. They're like smaller bodies, so like the 180 centimeter mark. So it's not huge. So you need a guy like Zeeble or a Cunnington in there, which we like. Goldie, I think his form's just tapered off as it's gone on. So I think likely he's gonna miss out on his second All Australian. But he's had a sensational 250 game career, so he might even get to 300 if he can keep playing good footy. And I thought Larky, he's just struggling a little bit. I think. Do you reckon he needs Ben Brown as much as Ben Brown needs Larky?
Yeah, I don't think Larky's ready for that number one role. He probably is in 2 or 3 years. What is he, 21, 22? Like, even younger, maybe?
Yeah, it's around 21, 22, yeah.
So what 21-year-old carrying is the number one target in the comp? Probably none.
Yeah, even as good as the King brothers are, I don't even think they can hold that position down. No. So, bro, we'll probably need to hang on to Brown even just to transition into the next phase. But, again, depends what the list management team decide to do there. Because I don't think Walker is good enough to be a key forward and that foil, just because he's just not that consistent and reliable. So I might just quickly touch on some other things. Going forward, I think we've got to delist a whole stack of people, like especially with the list potentially dropping by 4 players, so 44 to 40. So maybe we're looking at 10 plus delistings, maybe even as much as 13 or 14. So we can't all bring in, like Rolling said, we can't bring in like 10, 18-year-olds. So there's got to be a combination of youth and experience. Yeah, so I hope we try to draft 5 or 6 at least in the draft, and maybe look to bring in some experienced leadership and consistent players. Do you think that's a good idea? So I'm talking guys like Birchall for the Lions, Ben Keys went to Adelaide, and you guys got like Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Would you be playing them 20-21 games or maybe 17? Would you play them like 10 or 11 and then give younger blokes a go?
I think they'd essentially replace Atley, Wood, Madjack. Who else is starting 18? Like maybe Polak. Maybe like they could replace 3 or 4 players in that team already. We already have like 9 young players there already. So I just want to couple those consistent players up with our other consistent senior players. So just get rid of the inconsistent ones.
It won't be costing the young players any games. So that's Because every time I look at the sheet list these days, there's like a good 8, 9, even 10 like players, young players playing. So who would you reckon? Do you reckon? I've made a little list here. Any of those names stand out? I know some are old, like Ryan Lester, I think might be the youngest out of them. Yeah. Well, Adam Sard, I think that's probably the best name there. Isaac Smith and Connor Blakely. If you can get one of those, they're probably your elite players. You can get one of those. I don't think Isaac Smith would go to he'd probably want to go to a contender though, but can't hurt to try it. You're not opening up the bank for these players too. You're not paying them $700,000-800,000.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to pay them too much, and they want to give up draft picks. The other point is a guy like Isaac Smith. Do you reckon? Yeah, sure. He might want to go to a contender, but if we can offer him like an on-field coaching role, which could transition to an off-field one, that might be enough. Like similar to what Burgoyne might have signed on for next year.
Yeah, it's not a bad option because obviously the soft cap's going down as well. So to put players in the salary cap, you're not spending any money there. It does save you.
Exactly. Yeah. Depending on what the books are, wouldn't mind even like a Heath Shaw. I know he's like 35 or something, but if we can bring him in to be a backline coach under Rees and play him for like 10 or 12 games, that could. I wouldn't mind that. Like just thinking out of the box. A couple of other names I have was Taylor Duray, who's like a role player for the Bulldogs, previously Hawthorn, and even clubs with like deep lists, which would have to cut players like from the Pies, Flynn Appleby. I know he's not a big name, but if the scouts have done their work and see something in guys like this, and Jack Payne, I think he had a good game covering for Andrews on the weekend. So, I hope Rawlings does everything to like, get rid of the deadwood and bring in some new faces, highly rated or like underrated players.
So in terms of tough calls on the list, I think, was it Rawlings that said, I think your 4 untouchables was it Goldstein, Higgins, Cunnington and Tarrant? Are they the 4?
Well, I didn't hear him say that, but that would make sense. So he's left Brown out of that.
He's left Brown out, yeah.
Okay, right. Interesting. They probably are because they're the ones that have been consistent and playing.
Yeah.
I don't know about Zeeble. He's sort of borderline 18, but I think, really increase the captaincy and, give him next year to, like, play well. Otherwise, end of next year, might have to retire. But I think, guys like Majak, Garner, Jacob, Durden, Marley Williams might all be in trouble. Would you reckon, would we consider signing Ben Brown for 1 year and let him leave as a free agent next year, or is that too risky?
How old is he? Is he 30 yet?
No, he'll be maybe end of next year. He might be like 29.
Yeah, I don't think you can go into next season with Larky as the number one at all. It's just asking too much of him. Another year playing with Brown, I think would help his development. So I think it's beneficial for the list.
But Ben Brown isn't going to sign a 1 year deal, right?
Probably not at his age. He'd probably want at least 2 or 3.
I think he wants 4.
4, okay. Well, you'd probably get offered 3, I would have thought, from another club. So you're probably just counting on his loyalty there, I think, for that year. In transition.
Okay. We'll see what happens. I think I'm still on the fence. Maybe I'd be surprised if he leaves. So I think he'll stay. But we do need a few more drafts.
Yeah.
We might move on to Port Adelaide's comprehensive win against Essendon. It was 50 points, 79-29, and you have your review.
Yeah, so the Dons started pretty well. So they also got smashed in the media after the Cats thrashing. So they're up 5 points at quarter time, up 8-1 in contested marks, and then Port, I guess, kicked into second or third gear, kicked 5 goals to 0 in that second quarter, broke the game open. Efficiency inside 50 was good again, 56% versus 41%. And it was just 52 plus in uncontested possessions as well. So it was a fairly impressive one.
Yeah, that uncontested, that's a big stat, isn't it? Considering it was a wet game.
Yeah, exactly right. Because it was wet for probably, I'd say, 2 to 3 quarters for the game. And we probably used the ball pretty well as well. I think the wet conditions suit our midfield because we don't have the quickest midfield. We have a lot of contested.
Yeah, up 50 in uncontested. That just tells me Essendon players weren't working hard enough. Like they've almost given up. Because if it was a dry day, that would have been like a 100-point game.
Yeah, no, you're right there. I think from the first quarter onwards, you could see their work rate drop further and further down. The pressure gauge, obviously, Fox Footy does that. And the first quarter was really good, but then Essendon dropped off pressure. I think Port's pressure stayed up around the 200 mark, which is elite. And Wackliffe, Boak and Wines all kicked 1 goal. Yes, conditions suited them perfectly. I thought Rockcliffe was best on ground, 30 plus 7 scoring involvements plus 6 tackles. Yeah, he's had a brilliant last 6 weeks. Made me eat my words. I said he should be in the team, playing with Pepper.
Yeah. He's good aerobically, yeah? He's probably your fittest player.
That Rockcliffe?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's in and under, so he's not getting it on the outside. Like he's there pretty much every stoppage.
So gets contest to contest pretty easily then.
Yeah, he doesn't. We don't play him forward or even on the wing. So he's purely a stoppage player. Thought Hartlett and Lysett were in the votes again. Lysett's had a really good couple of weeks. For the Dons, Ridley was probably best again for them. He's probably all Australian lock.
Yeah, he has. I think he has to be like he's been that consistent and that impressive that even if it was his breakout year, I think it'd be hard for the selectors to ignore his dominance.
Yeah. Devon Smith, Shield and Merritt got a lot of touches, but I didn't really think they had much impact on the game. Danaher probably could have torched Cleary on another day. Cleary was really nervous in that first quarter, so that's a bit of a concern going forward for us. He got torched by Hawkins the other last month. And then Stringer too, there's been a bit of media on his fitness, but I think he's in the last 5 games since his return, he's had 27 touches. So had a really good start to the year, but I think he needs to get his body right as well. He's come back.
27 in 5 games. Oh, wow, that's not good. Because he was that damaging sort of almost the X factor. So if he's not performing, then I don't give him much hope.
Yeah, he kicked 10 from the first 4 matches, so he had a really good start to the year, and then dropped off.
Mm-hmm. In terms of Essendon's tolls, there was no Hooker and Hurley. Zerk Thatcher, how do you say that?
Yeah, Zerk Thatcher.
How did he go?
Yeah, it was really confusing, I thought, because you're kind of sending him to the Wolves because he's 21 kilos lighter than Dixon. Probably not doing the best thing by him, but Dixon, 2 goals, 3, kicked, I think 5 our first 8 scoring shots. Could have kicked 5 on another day. His kicking's again a concern. He dominated that matchup. Yeah,
okay, yeah. So I think, was it last week that Ben Mackay from our against Kangaroos played on Dixon? So how did you find comparing Mackay and Zatch's game?
Oh, Mackay's he's much taller. Got a man's body.
Yeah, okay. So do you reckon they need a key forward? Like in this draft, they'll have pick 6 or something. What do they go for? What's their pressing need?
I'd say a key back because Hurley and Hooker are coming to the end. Hurley's had a great career, same as Hooker, but they're coming to the end. I think their ruck stocks are pretty good. Like Sam Draper looks really, really impressive. He's probably his first year full-time in the role. They probably need a big-bodied midfield. I know they've talked about Wines or, they were chasing Wines, I think, last year. So they're probably the 2 main ones.
Mm-hmm. They've got a few holes, so we might do some game reviews later in the year, but team reviews and touch on that. So Port Adelaide, they've got Collingwood next week. Is your priority to win that game, or do you look at who you might be playing in the qualifier?
Yeah, it's a dangerous tactic going that way because I think if the top 4 all win this week, we play the Cats in Adelaide. If we lose or if things don't go, we play Richmond. So either way, you're either playing them in a qualifying final or a prelim. So either way, I think it's dangerous to go down that road. I think it's just winning form is good form, and hopefully we can play better against the Cats and come with better strategy, especially against Hawkins.
Yeah, you're probably right. I have to agree. But I don't know. I think the players, psychologically, might want to play the Tigers at Amy just because you guys dominated them and the Cats dominated you. So it's just, but you never know. Yeah, Cats went down to Tigers, so it might be a bit shaky. Any changes? Butters is still out, is he?
Yeah, so I think Westy probably stays out for last year. That's probably the end of the career for Westhoff. 280 games, BNF plus probably the most versatile player in our history. Bonner was better on the weekend, but I think Leonard's more composed, but I think the coaching panel have a bit of a affinity for Bonner. I think Butters comes in for Farrell. Farrell's had a quiet couple of weeks, and I trust Eben in finals more than Farrell. So they're probably the changes I'd make anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that was this week, yeah, is it? Oh, finals. Will that be a finals team?
Yeah, that'd be my finals team. I mean, obviously, yeah, Butler's not in this week. He's in for the first final.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And how's Motlop, one of our
he was actually much better. 13 possessions, kicked the guy in the last quarter, had a few unselfish plays too where he could have blazed away, but he set up teammates for goals. So he definitely had a better week. I couldn't see him dropping out of the team. I think we need that bit of class, even though he's not had the greatest year.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, he's in the team. You guys keep winning, and he's one of those players that could bob up and do a Rioli, and I mean Daniel Rioli, and kick 3 in the prelim and do much else throughout the year. So, yeah. We might get into some topics. Do you want to talk about Coniglio getting dropped for the must-win game against the Dees?
Yeah, so it's interesting. He's obviously coming on a 7-year contract. First captain drop since Worsfold, I think, in the '98 finals. To his credit, he did want to be dropped and not be managed. But it was really interesting timing. It's a must-win game. Like, do they bring him back this week, which again is a must-win game? I wouldn't agree. I would have dropped him 6 weeks ago. I wouldn't have dropped him now.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. I think he was poor like about a month, 6 weeks ago, and then last couple of games, I think he was okay. I can't really remember. I didn't pay much attention, but if it was going to happen, it should have been early in the year when they could afford to do it. Whereas now I think they played like a debutant and a couple of younger players who wouldn't have been in the team if he was playing. I don't. He's still best 22, right? So
he's their best. I mean, you look at all the stats. He's been their best finals player, throughout the history. He's always had a down year, but like I don't think you can drop the captain number one. Like it's just demoralising for the whole group. Just play him as a tagger, maybe. Play him on Pedraka, because he's done that role before as well.
Yeah, I get it. Cameron's probably trying to make a stance, but I think it's too little, too late. I mean, if they had won the game, we wouldn't be talking about this. But they weren't good enough, and going to come under scrutiny. And we'll talk about the pre-finals bye again. So they've had this going on for like 6 or 7 years now. Do you agree with it?
Yeah, I mean, this year you look at like Harris Andrews, Tom Lynch, McGovern from the Eagles. Like they're going to be able to play as much of the finals as possible because of this. So it's good from that respect. I think the only thing I have an issue with, the top 4 spot gets diminished. Like 5 to 8 could win. If you win the qualifying finals, the top 4 team, like you're playing 2 games in 4 weeks come prelim final weekend, which is not great. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's good for the injured players, but it's not. Yeah. That's not the reason why this rule was brought in. So it was like keep the integrity of the game, sort of have that, and it's sort of doing the opposite. So I think it was a knee-jerk reaction at the time, and it's still one that is divisive in the footy community, and it sort of halts the momentum, especially this year, where we want to get all the games finished.
Exactly.
So unpredictable. So I was pretty surprised by this, and with the injured players, I think it's not about getting them back. It's just the last man standing sort of thing. It's about testing the list, and if a Lynch is missing, it's up to them to sort of replace them and win. So I hope they change it soon. This is like one of the worst rules since like the substitute rule. So the sooner they get back to normal, the better, I think.
Yeah, it might be better even as a top 4 team to lose that first final. And then you're playing 4 weeks straight. Like it's not as negative as it used to be. But you won't want to do that anyway. But I'll ask you about the Blues. You reckon their season has been a success?
To some extent, I think they have unearthed some good players and got games into some players of the future, seen some improvement. But I think overall it's been it's pretty bad, pretty demoralizing. These slow starts and this yesterday they were down by like 50 points almost against the bottom
goals, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it'd be a nightmare supporting the Blues. I think they've been through a few rebuilds in the last 2 decades and still sort of showing signs, but progress isn't as fast as they would have liked. I think there's too many players stalling and form is questionable, some of them, some injuries. Yeah, what do you reckon? I've listed some players there like Kennedy, Mitch McGovern, who haven't come on. Like they're recycled players. They're not providing what they were brought in to do.
Yeah, McGovern, I was surprised they gave him 4 years. Like, I didn't understand why he was so in demand. Like, even Adelaide, he just showed flashes. Yeah, Kennedy had a good few weeks when he came back into the team. I think Dow and I think it's O'Brien, they're the two first-round picks
Yeah.
that haven't really developed. I mean, look, it could be like a Brayshaw and Shearer where they come on next year, but yeah, they should be getting games into those guys anyway.
Yeah, Liam Stocker, they gave up a first round pick for as well. I think he's left the hub on personal reasons, but you need to hope these guys come on. I think Marchbank and Charlie Kerner, they've been injured, so it's not the best position to be. I think people get carried away when Carlton have a few good wins and they've got a couple of young as well, like they did when Judd first came. But I think they've got to be a bit more realistic. They dropped Cottrell after kicking that match winner.
Yeah, what was the thinking behind that?
Well, he had a pretty average game. When I was watching that game, I thought, oh, this guy shouldn't be playing. But it was after that he took that contested mark and kicked the goal. But yeah, it's sort of demoralizing, right? Kicking the winner and then getting dropped.
Yeah, it's not great for confidence, and yeah, I'm not sure what his stats were, but yeah, you wouldn't have thought the guy that kicks the match winner gets dropped 4 days later or 5 days later.
Yeah, I'd play him. It's just I don't know. Like, I guess the coaches have more experience and player people management, but I think for development, might have been better off just to let him play. Like, he had a bad game, but he had a great moment. And I'll let you maybe talk a bit about Cruiser and Gibbs, like two former first-round draft picks announced their retirement.
Yeah, I think like the Cruiser thing, like he's ended up being like an above-average player, but he probably could have ended up like a Natanui, where he's got like rover skills being a ruckman. I think he's probably been the barometer of their list for 10 years. I think he missed about 80 to 90 games with injury, so. It's just disappointing because the potential was unbelievable. He got picked ahead of Cochin.
Yeah.
So
that's why the Cruiser Cup and these sort of things don't really matter. I reckon if he wasn't injured, he would have had a pretty good career. He still played 180 games, and when he was good, he was like a match winner. So sad to see him go. And Gibbs similarly. If he was in a stronger team, I think he would have done a lot better. Just these guys kept playing in bottom 4 teams. So Gibbs, I reckon, being number 1 in the super draft isn't going to be like when guys like Rewalt and Salwood are picked after you. He was in the leadership group like before he played a game. I was reading.
Yeah, I think he came in. He came into the team having played senior footy for the whole year in the Sandful. Like he had, great gifts as well. Like 268 games for a number 1 pick, you'd take that at the start of the career. So I think he's had a great career. Just as you said, he just hasn't been playing in good teams. And he came to Adelaide at the wrong time as well, probably 1 year too late as well. So it's just bit of a sliding doors moment there.
Yeah, speaking of the Sandford, there's a guy called Riley Thilthorpe playing. He's like a 17 or 18-year-old. So he's another one of those top 5 rated key position players. Yeah. I saw some highlights, and he just reminded me a bit of Matthew Cruiser, like that tall, skills, sort of 200 centimeter. So I think, one of the bottom teams might be looking at him if they need a key position player / ruckman. So I think Kangaroos might fit into that type of team. So if we get like a cruiser, like a fit cruiser, then wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, is Adelaide second last now? Are they equal on points now?
They're equal on points to us, but I think they're not going to catch up percentage. They'll have to beat Tigers, and we'll have to lose to West Coast.
Still got the number 2 pick, which is still very good.
Yeah, number 2, but it's gonna realistically be number 3 because Kamara, Yuko, Hagen will be 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of an ordinary year to have a number 2 pick because there's no two standout players. Yeah, like last year we had Raul and Anderson. The year before that, who do we have? Like Lukosius and Rankin, I think.
Yeah,
and Wells.
King brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we pick a good player like key position player or a good midfielder. Just quickly, I was listening to the radio. I jumped in the car. I don't normally listen to the radio much these days, but Whateley and Andy Maher were talking about trades and free agents, and Zach Williams came up because he's one of the sort of demand players, and there was the disdain shown by them about the possibility of Williams coming to the Kangaroos was just ridiculous, and they were like being disrespectful. They were like, "Oh, don't mean to be disrespectful, but why would anyone go to Kangaroos?" And after it's like, and this guy on Big Footy posted, like he was a Richmond supporter, and he posted like a really good summary about. Yeah, he couldn't believe they were saying this. Like after the Kangaroos had like one terrible year, suddenly it makes it like an unattractive club to go to and pigeonholed us for like the foot of the ladder for the next 5 years. Yeah. And then he thinks, and then especially after Carlton getting rolled by Adelaide, he's been like pretty ordinary for 20 years and haven't yet shown anything. And they expect all the gun players to like select. Yeah, it's just so annoying. And it just shows how reactive the media is, don't you reckon? Like a month ago, what was Kane Corn saying about Adelaide?
Yeah, he's saying, the Roos are the worst place to go to in Adelaide. I think not bad. Or not bad, but they're ahead of the Roos, which I disagree with that part of it. I think the Crows are bottom of the league.
But like 4 weeks ago, I remember Kane Corns was saying Adelaide are worse than Gold Coast and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, and then it just sort of changes. And it's pretty rare when you get commentators who stick to their guns and say what they believe. Normally, you just find them changing their narrative to suit whatever the latest, whatever's happening presently, which is annoying. But I think I don't know. Maybe we just got to get over it and because it's easy. Anyone can commentate and provide special comments if we just got to summarize what's been happening and analyze the last 24 hours. Do you want to talk about the top 8? Do you reckon it's set?
Yeah, I think if the Pies beat Gold Coast tonight, they're 38 points. So, the Saints and the Giants play this week. So I think whoever wins, the Saints win that, they go through. Dees are playing the Bombers, Freo the Dogs, and then Pies play Port. So, I think it's Pies and the Saints. I think Pies and the Dogs will go through, to be honest. Pies and the Saints. Because Saints have, I think, 8 extra percentage points than the Dogs. What about you?
Yeah, I think I've done the ladder predictor numerous times just to see where that Melbourne pick will land. It's tied to that, so I don't want them making the top 8 because it'll push it back an extra pick because of that compensation pick Gold Coast got. But I think you're right. I think St Kilda, I think they can still lose and make it, which is likely. They just need the Pies to win tonight and then the Bulldogs to beat Freo. They're the only 2 results that need to happen, and Saints still make it. And
if the Dogs beat Freo and then Port beats Pies, Dogs go through instead of Collingwood. So that's the other sticking point too.
Who misses out then?
Pies. If they lose to Port and Dogs beat...
But Dogs, Pies, Saints can all make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those 3 teams will make it. And West Coast will be the other 4th team in that bottom half of the 8. Which is what you have.
Miss out.
I think Dees and Giants will miss out. Just.
It's a big
Do you
fall from.
Do you think if what's his name? Jeremy Cameron and Zach Williams leave on decent contracts, they'll get compensation picks after their first pick?
Yeah, I think it's dependent on the contract, isn't it? So if we're talking about the money we've been talking about, then yeah, it would be right. It'd be end of first round for both.
Yeah, Cameron definitely, and Williams probably as well, right? If he's going to get a big, yeah.
Well, I think he's asking for a 5. Like he's not back a 5-year contract, so I would have thought he'd get at least 5 years, and probably he'd get offered more than what the Giants are offering, surely, because the Giants'
I think
salary.
they offered him 450 or something was the Giants.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think Kangaroos. I think we've offered him 6 years. Like even if we offer him like 600,000, that'd be pretty good. So I'd love to get him to like shove it in Andy Maher's face. That'd be funny. Gonna do some quick previews. Maybe you can talk first about Pies and Port.
Yeah, so we talked about it a bit. It's the last game of the regular season, so it just like Pies should beat Gold Coast tonight, so there's not as much riding on the game. Treloar and Degoe are back tonight as well against the Suns, so that's boosting their stocks. I think the game should be at Adelaide Oval. Yeah, I think we've only played 7 out of 17 games at home, which, looking at the COVID numbers in Adelaide, probably should be at least 8 or 9, if that's 50% of the year. But yeah, just to tune up and then hopefully there's no injuries. I think that's what you hope for in the last round for all teams. You don't want any players getting ruled out of the final. So
they might get side bottom back, all things going well. And I think only Jeremy Howe might be the only good player missing. So I don't know, it might for them, and they might not be. You'll have to work for it. Yeah, it's not going to be a pushover because Collingwood, they're still a pretty good team.
Yeah, even with the injuries and all of that, yeah.
And we've got West Coast, so I think me, Chad, and Shane are gonna watch that. Through Zoom thing. So on Thursday night. I mean, we'll probably lose, but we've won our past 3 last games of the year. I don't know. Maybe we can cause an upset. There's no McGovern, no Shui, no Yo, Sheed, Redden. Yeah. So they're missing a few players. They might get a couple back. They probably want to get a couple back so they don't have to bring in 6.
For the finals.
Farewell games, I don't know. Maybe I'll be interested to see what the teams are. Majak, Wood, Ghana, they might get a farewell game. Maybe Piedad as well. I don't think we'll win the spoon. I think percentage might save us, and Richmond will probably win against the Crows.
Yeah, so you're probably looking at a Logan McDonald, like we mentioned, or for that first pick. Pick 2.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard because none of the Victorian kids have played. So, ideally, Logan McDonald. He only kicked 1 game. His team did make finals, so they'll be playing finals this week, I think. So depending on if he can perform well there. I mean, he might be gone before our pick. I think Adelaide might take him, but hopefully I wouldn't mind at all. Yeah.
There's a few good tours in Cal Toomey's top 25, so hopefully you can snag one of them.
Yeah, a lot of academy players though in the middle range of that. So, all right, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up. We'll see you guys next week and preview the finals.
Yes, week 1. All right, see ya.